You've arrived at CozySideAudio, where dreams begin with a story. Tonight's tale is here to help you wind down and find peace. If this brings you comfort, please like, share, and subscribe so more dreamers can join us. Let the night carry you, and let's begin. CozySideAudio presents The GLASSBREAKER. Chapter 1, The Echo Beneath Glass. They tell us the city sings. Not in words, not in melody, in pressure, in pitch, in the low hum of things that aren't quite alive. I learned early how to listen because I had to, because when glass sings back, it cracks. My name's Lyra Vance, and I'm a Class Gamma glassworker from Sector 3 East, just inside the outer wall. I've got calluses like sanded stone and a record clean enough to keep my floor spot at Kirill Forge, even if it never earns me anything better. We all resonate with something. That's what they tell us. Find your tone. Fit your class. Be grateful. But some mornings before my shift bell chimes, before the factory wakes, I swear I can hear more than just my own frequency. Like today. Like now. There's a thread in the silence, thin as wire, sharp as a whisper, and it's not mine. I freeze in the corridor between the dorms and the lift shaft. Nothing's visibly off. The old aluminum walls hum like they always do, faint and flat, layered with the city's baseline, the steady 432 Hz harmony pipe through every structure in Bastion 9. The grid's heartbeat. But there again. Flicker. A sound that isn't a sound, that someone's frequency is bleeding. Sloppy. Untuned. And I can feel it scraping against mine like teeth on crystal. Lyra. The call snaps me out of it hard and real. I turn. Marla, my shift lead, leans halfway out the steel lift, her apron already dusted with soot and clear burn. You comin', or you want to stand there vibin' all cycle? Coming. My voice cracks dry in my throat. She doesn't notice. Nobody ever does. The moment passes. The resonance fades like it was never there. I follow her in, and the lift clunks downward toward the floor. The walls thrum. The air tastes like heat. Everything is normal again. Except it isn't. We run furnace lines in 12-hour sweeps. 14 if the harmonics stall. Glass isn't just melted sand anymore, not in Bastion 9. It's conductive, responsive, holds resonance better than metal or bone. Every panel, every viewport, every surveillance pane, they all start in places like Kirill Forge. I work the shaping table on line 6. Precision cuts. Molding curves for signal reflectors. I shouldn't be able to hear anything over the scream of the kills and the pressure clamps, but when I pass too close to Rollo, 2 stations down, I flinch. Because I can hear him. Not talking. Not moving. Just resonating. A thick, angry pressure leaking off his shoulders like heat off slag. His hands are steady. His face blank. But inside he's vibrating out of pitch. And I feel it. Every bitter pulse. This isn't normal. I know that. We're not supposed to feel other people's resonance unless it's weaponized. Unless it's intentional. And Rollo's just a worker like me. He doesn't even look up. I grip the edge of my table to ground myself. I focus. I tune out. Breathe. 1 2. Out. Back to neutral. Fades, but not completely. Something inside me won't let go of it, like I've been changed. Or opened. Later, during break, I duck into the edge alcove near the delivery stair to clear my head. It's quieter there. No direct lines to the pulse grid. Just concrete and glass scraps and old dust. I kneel. Touch the floor. And I hear something. Not present. Not Rollo. Not me. An echo. A memory of resonance, stored in the glass tile beneath my fingers. Someone stood here once, leaking desperation. It's not just emotion, it's tone. A warble. Strained, fractured. Like a scream swallowed too fast. I yank my hand away. This is wrong. I'm not supposed to be able to do this. I'm not tuned. I've never even seen a veilcaster in real life, let alone trained as a harmonizer. But I felt it. I still do. And for the first time, I wonder if something in me isn't just listening, maybe it's waking up. When my shift ends, I wait until the others are gone before slipping into the storage corridor near the resonance dampeners. There's a long panel of untreated glass mounted on the wall, leftover from a batch test, forgotten by everyone else. I face it, look at myself. Brown eyes, rough ponytail, gray worker's collar half undone. Just me, just Lyra, but the air in here is heavy with silence. The kind of silence that listens back. I press my palm against the pane, and this time I don't just feel resonance. I see it. My reflection stutters just for a blink, and layered over my face like a shadow burned into light, there's a shimmer of something else. A pattern. A web. A frequency I've never seen before. Mine. Unclassified. Untuned. Impossible. I rip my hand back. The pain goes still. I don't know what I am, but whatever just echoed through me wasn't glass. It was a crack. And once something cracks, it's only a matter of time before it breaks. Chapter 2, Fault Lines. I don't sleep that night. I lie on my cot in the dorm stack, eyes locked on the pipes overhead, listening to the building breathe. Steam clunks through the joints every few minutes, masking the grit tone just enough to make me feel like I'm alone with my thoughts. I'm not. They won't quiet. Not the feeling. Not the image. Not the ripple that moved through my reflection like something under ice. It wasn't just a hallucination. It couldn't have been. I heard it. Felt it in my teeth. The tone that pulsed through my hand through the glass, it didn't match any register I've ever been tested for. Not gamma. Not anything. Unclassified resonance is supposed to be a myth. A ghost story for apprentices. The kind of thing they erase you for if it turns out to be real. In the morning, I fake a stomach strain and skip the shift line. Marla grunts and rolls her eyes but doesn't push. I've never pulled a day off before. They'll dock my pay, and the quota will roll over to someone else, but I don't care. I need answers. Chiral Sector has an old records vault. Pre-sync. Off-grid. Supposed to be sealed, but I know how to jimmy the hatch. My father showed me before he disappeared. Some truths don't want to be found, Lyra, he said. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't be. I was 12 when he vanished. No report. No tone collapse. Just gone. I've never said it out loud, but deep down I've always suspected the system took him. Not because he was violent. Not because he failed, because he resonated wrong. The vault smells like heat-warped plastic and dust. The readers are old-style manual cranks, etched glass display. Takes real muscle to turn the reels, and most of the records are half erased from radiation drift. I find a section marked Tone Theory, Disruptive Frequencies. Yellow tagged. Marked obsolete. I study reel after reel, eyes burning. There are diagrams of resonance fields, some like flowers, others like storms. Pulse spikes mapped against emotional triggers. Case studies of tone anomalies. One mentions a term I've never seen in official texts. Multi-tone variance. The symbol beside it looks familiar. Sharp arcs. Overlapping rings. It matches the faint overlay I saw in my reflection yesterday. Almost exactly. The footnote says, subject responded to multiple tones simultaneously. No harmonic stability achieved. Result, feedback collapse. Then in red, clearance revoked. Entry sealed by grid compliance. Someone tried to bury this, which means they were afraid of it. I head back to the dorms at dusk, moving like I'm underwater. Multi-tone variance. That's what I have. I don't know how or why, but I can feel it now, layers in my own signal I never noticed before. Like my resonance has depth I've only just begun to hear. And it's not quiet anymore. Every time I pass near someone, it flares. Just slightly. Enough to brush against theirs. Sometimes I feel heat. Sometimes cold. Sometimes the air just shivers between us. It's dangerous. If the system detects it, I'll be tagged as anomalous. Echo trackers will follow. Grid recalibration. Or worse, nulling. So I try to hold still. Try not to hum. Try not to listen. But the thing about hearing too much is, once you notice, you can't not. 2 nights later, I find myself at the edge of the city veil. It's a low field, almost invisible, just a shimmer in the air where the upper sectors wall off from the rest of us. Class Alpha lives beyond it. Clean air. Full bandwidth. Homes built from tuned stone and perfect glass. No one like me ever crosses it. We're not even allowed to touch it. I press 2 fingers to the veil anyway. It buzzes through my bones. And for just a second it reacts, warps around my skin. Not rejecting, not triggering alarms, just bending, like it knows me. Then, shouldn't be here. The voice is low, smooth. Not a worker, not a guard. I whirl. There's a man leaning against a column 10 paces behind me. Long coat. No rank badge. No enforcer mark. Just eyes that glint like he's used to seeing things he shouldn't. And a tone I feel before he speaks again. A slow, dissonant pulse like a string half snapped and still singing. What are you? He asks. Not harsh. Curious. I don't answer. 'Cause I don't know. Not anymore. Chapter 3 Tuning Forks. He doesn't move. Doesn't step toward me, doesn't shift his weight. Just stands there like he's been part of the architecture the whole time and only now decided to speak. The kind of stillness that makes you feel like you're the trespasser, even when your boots were there first. What are you? He repeats, eyes narrowed slightly, head tilted like he's tuning a signal. I don't respond. I should walk away. Run maybe. The veil doesn't forgive mistakes, and neither do the people behind it. But something about the way his resonance feels, unsteady, fractured, almost human, holds me in place. Then he blinks once, slow and deliberate. You heard me before I spoke. I swallow. My mouth's dry. Maybe you hum too loud. He smiles. Just a little. Maybe you listen too well. That does it, I turn. But I don't make it 3 steps before his voice catches me again, sharp and clear this time. You cracked the glass, didn't you? My spine goes rigid that I never told anyone. He walks toward me now, hands out, empty. His coat shifts as he moves, long and split at the sides for balance. Not military. Not forge issue. It's tailored for movement. Utility without flash. He could be a smuggler. A runner. But there's no smirk, no swagger. Just calculation. Curiosity. You touched untreated glass, he says softly. It mirrored your tone back at you. You didn't recognize what you saw. You're wrong. I'm not. He stops 3 paces away. The air between us buzzes like a tuning fork hit just once and left to fade. Who are you? I ask. Rian Tao. He says it without hesitation. And if you're what I think you are, we need to get you off the grid. I don't trust him. But I follow. Maybe because my pulse hasn't stopped hammering since he said my name. Maybe because I felt his tone when he said it, and it wasn't full of lies. It was laced with something else. Urgency. Concern. Not fear. Not yet. We duck through old spillways and conduits long abandoned. Behind old sectors. Beneath them. Rian knows the routes and people don't see us pass. It's not stealth. It's resonance. He hums a field that dulls attention, tucks awareness into itself. He calls it cloak toning. It's illegal, he mutters. So's existing for some of us. Eventually we reach a hollowed-out substation beneath the base of a relay spire. It's cold, cracked, covered in signal scatter glyphs. It smells like scorched ozone and metal fatigue. This is off-grid? I ask. As off as you can get inside the wall. There are 3 others in the room. A woman with half her scalp tattooed in spiraling tone marks. A boy with no visible scars, but a pressure to him like held breath. And an older man with eyes like mica, flinty, unreadable. They all turn to me at once. Not hostile. Not surprised. Measured. She's awake? The woman asks Rian. He nods. She's untrained. Like we all were, he says. The boy doesn't speak. Just watches me like I'm about to fracture the floor. Rian turns back to me. You have questions? Ask. I stare at them all. I don't sit. What is this place? He answers without pause, a fault line. I frown. You're not broken, Lyra. The system is. The grid only recognizes harmonized resonance, linear, clean, contained. But there are people like us. Outliers. Deviants, they'd say. Multi-tone, untuned, unstable. And you think I'm one of you. You felt it, didn't you? He says gently. in the glass. In others, like frequencies bleeding. That's how it starts. I don't want this to be true. But I nod. The older man finally speaks. Then we teach her. Or she dies before she learns control. No drama in the statement. No threat. Just a fact. It lands hard. They call themselves fractures. Not rebels. Not heroes. Not even a movement. Just people who didn't break when the system tried to erase them. People who learned to live with multiple tones coiled beneath their skin like live wires. Some of them went mad from it. Some vanished. Some fought back. And some very few learned to shape it. They show me things I've never seen outside theory. How to buffer internal resonance. How to mask overtones. How to draw from the tonal field of a place how everything holds sound. The city sings, yes, but it also listens. And me? I'm starting to hum back. Before I leave, Rian stops me by the doorway. He places a hand on the wall, bare concrete with old interference lines still etched in. His tone shifts subtly and the wall vibrates. Not shattering, not loud, just answering. You'll be watched now, he says. I've always been watched. Not like this. His voice tightens. Once they realize you're unbound, the grid will start to feel you. And it'll try to pull you back in. And if I don't go, they'll come to take you. The silence that follows is long. Then he adds softer. Next time, don't come here alone. The world you thought you lived in isn't the only one. And the next crack you make might not be glass. Chapter 4, Echo Trace. There's a sound inside my chest when I wake up now, not a heartbeat. Not breath. A tone. Faint. Layered. Like something whispering across metal. I keep my eyes shut and listen. I can feel the dorm stack around me. 14 other sleepers curled in bunks, their resonance low and steady. One of them is dreaming. Another is in pain. Another's in love or thinks they are. It comes off them like heat. Flashes of sound that ripple when I tune in too far. I pull back. Clamp it down. Just like Rian showed me. But it's getting harder to filter. It's like the world's louder now. Or I'm thinner. Like I've been scraped down and the signal's passing through me instead of around. This is what it means to wake up. At work, the glass sings to me. Not just like it used to, passive, smooth, patient. It responds now. Before my tools even touch it, it warps slightly, humming with a resonance that matches mine. I can tell the others notice something's off. Rollo frowns when I slide past him at the sand kiln, and Marla lingers too long beside my station, pretending to check the output grid. You hit your quota early, she mutters. Yeah. Same yesterday. I shrug. Marla doesn't push. But she doesn't walk away either. She's hearing something. Not consciously maybe, but enough to prick her instincts. I need to be more careful. I drop my tone mid-shift. Mute my field. I picture it like dulling glass, scattering light instead of bending it. It helps. A little. But when I step into the freight elevator at the end of the shift, I feel it again. A pull, like something in the shaft is waiting. The man inside the lift isn't one of us. I know it before the doors close. He wears forge blue. No name. No rank. A helmet that flickers with light filter mesh. His stance is loose but precise. Casual the way a knife's edge is casual. I don't speak. Neither does he. The elevator hums and the tone in my chest tightens like wire being drawn through heat. Not because I'm afraid. Because he is humming. Subtly. Deliberately. His resonance has no warmth. No contour. It's not a person's tone. It's a system's. Compliance grade. Echo class. My pulse spikes. They sent a listener. I press my palm to the wall like I'm tired. I tune low, just enough to read the tone trace behind the paneling. It vibrates wrong. Echo interference designed to reflect and bounce fields until they fracture from overload. A trap. He doesn't move. Then just before the doors open, he speaks. You've changed. I look at him. Just once. So have you, I say. You used to be human. A twitch at his jaw. That's all. The doors open. I step out. I don't run. Running would flag me. but I feel it now like a spike behind my ribs. They're tracking me. They've marked the signal. Back at the fracture cell, the tension is immediate. Rian paces while I describe the listener. The woman with tone tattoos, wrists, mutters a curse under her breath. The boy I learn is named Corin. He listens without blinking. They didn't engage, I finish. They just stood there. That is engaging, Rian says. They want you to know you're seen. I exhale slow. Then what happens next? They test your boundaries, your reactions, how many tones you can hold under pressure. And when you slip, they bring down the hammer. Wrist finishes. I sink onto the edge of the metal bench. The hum inside me hasn't faded. If anything, it's stronger now, like the listener's field cracks something open in me. I need to learn faster, I say. Whatever's happening, it's accelerating. Rian nods. Then it's time we show you the other side of resonance. I frown. What do you mean? You've learned to listen, he says. Now you need to learn to speak. We go deep. Below, even the fracture hollow. Beneath old magrail tracks no longer mapped by the grid. The tunnel ends in a room sealed by stone and silence. This is a null chamber, Rian says. No external signal can enter. Nothing leaks out. The walls are etched with lines that don't make sense. Non-Euclidean curves, pulse-based calligraphy. Every surface is tuned to absorb, not reflect. He steps back. Sing. I blink. What? Let it out. The thing in you. The hum. I hesitate. Then I close my eyes. And I sing. Not with my voice, with my resonance. I open the space inside me I've been clutching shut since the glass cracked. I let it rise, let it uncoil like smoke and lightning and heat. It wraps the room. It bends the air. I feel my tone spread through the stone and circle back again, echoing as something more. Rian staggers back a step. Riss lets out a low breath. Corin stares like he's watching stars collapse. And I finally feel it. The grid didn't just miss my tone, IT couldn't read it. Because it was built to filter signal, not understand voice. And I'm not a signal anymore, that I'm something else. Later, when we surface, Rian pulls me aside. You're getting stronger faster than we expected, he says. Is that a bad thing? It's new. You don't just have a multitone. You have a bleed. Your field echoes into others. That's why they've noticed. That's why they're afraid. I watch his face. He doesn't blink. Lyra, you're a disruptor. The first real one we've seen in years. My pulse stutters. What does that mean? It means. He hesitates. You can do more than fracture the system. He leans closer. Lower. You can break it. Chapter 5, Pressure Lines. I don't sleep that night. The sound inside me doesn't stop. Not even when I lie still, curled under the thin fiber blanket in my unit. It pulses against my ribs like something caged, something learning the shape of its own containment. I try to dull it, buffer it, wrap it in all the tricks Rian and Riss drilled into me. It still hums. Soft. Low. Relentless. Like it knows it's real now and it doesn't want to be quiet anymore. The next morning, the city's different. Not visibly, not tangibly, but I feel it the second I step outside. The tone of the grid is sharper today. Thinner. Like the signal has been stretched too tight and someone's plucking it to see where it'll snap. There are more drones in the sky. Low flyers. Tuning models. I count 4 before I even reach the transit line. 2 of them track me for exactly 3 seconds before moving on. I don't flinch. I don't look up. But I tune my resonance down so far I almost can't hear myself think. And still, I feel something brush my field. A test. A taste. Like they're trying to decide if I'm the same girl I was yesterday. Work is glass and heat and silence. Marla doesn't speak to me today. Not in words, at least. But I feel her field once, just once, brush mine. Light as a breath. Accidental, maybe. Maybe not. I glance up and she's already looking away. Later, I catch her in the refab chamber, rerouting the heat grids. You hear it, don't you? I ask her quietly. She doesn't turn around. What? The tone. A pause. Then soft. Everyone hears something. Doesn't mean they understand it. I take a step closer. Have you ever seen it shift? Marla's shoulders tighten. You're being watched, she says. Too closely. I don't know what you're trying to become, but you're pulling attention. I'm not trying to become anything. That's worse. She leaves me standing there, hands still warm from the kiln, the echo of her words sharper than the heat. That night, Rian takes me into the broken quarter. It's a section of the city that isn't on maps anymore, sections of grid stripped bare, resonance lines corrupted. It's what happens when too many tones collide in one place. The system can't filter them fast enough. It distorts, warps, then collapses. He tells me the place was once a harmonic hub, a kind of tuning center. Now it's a scar. We walk through alleys that flicker with residual signals, ghost tones trapped in stone and steel. I see outlines burned into walls like shadows caught mid-resonance. Half a face here, a gesture there. They called it a resonance failure, Rian says. Said it was an accident. But it wasn't. I look at him. It was a test, he continues. They were experimenting with field convergence, trying to engineer a composite tone strong enough to override civic frequencies. To control the city? To erase difference. The wind cuts between broken towers. I feel the way the space warps around us, like walking through someone's memory turned sour. They failed, I say. They lied, Rian replies. They said the system stabilized. But it didn't. It just went quiet. Underneath, it's still humming. I stop. You brought me here to show me this? No. He turns to face me. I brought you here because you need to understand what happens when power isn't shaped. He steps closer. You're more than a crack in the system now. You're pressure. And pressure builds. Back in the hollow, Corn is waiting. His posture is different tonight. Not tense. Not passive. Focused. You're ready, he says. For what? He taps his temple. Tone weaving. Advanced field displacement. You won't survive the next move unless you can split and layer simultaneously. Riss snorts from across the room. Don't scare her. I'm not, he replies. I'm preparing her. And so we begin. Tone weaving is like playing chords on invisible strings, holding 2, 3, sometimes 4 frequencies at once and making them mean something. Not just noise. Not just chaos. Control. It hurts at first, like pulling nerves apart with bare hands. But then, on the 3rd hour, maybe the 4th, I feel something click. The overtones thread together. And for the first time, the world doesn't sound loud, it sounds clear. You're resonating in layers now, Rian says. I nod, wiping sweat from my brow. Is that good? It's dangerous. He doesn't say it like a warning. He says it like a truth. Like a gift. You can echo into the grid without it catching you, he explains. Slip between scans. Interfere with trace pings. What else? You can shape other tones. I blink. You mean mimic? No. I mean affect. He pauses. If you push too hard, you can unravel someone else's field. The implication lands like thunder. I could make someone lose their resonance, erase their tone, unmake who they are. And yet, part of me understands how it would work. Part of me feels ready. It happens 2 days later. I'm walking home. Not cloaked. Not hidden. Just tired. And something pricks my resonance like a needle to the skin. I turn a second before the strike. A man in a grid enforcer coat lunges from the alley. No insignia. No warning. Just an echo blade humming in his hand, high-pitched and hungry. I step back. Raise my hands. He doesn't speak. I feel his tone flat, unpersonalized, synthetic. They're not just tracking me now. They're trying to erase me. I pull my field tight. Reflexive. My hum spikes, and for a moment, our tones crash together. It's like ice shearing off steel. I reach. I push. And his tone cracks. He staggers. His weapon drops. His field shatters around him like broken glass. He tries to speak. Can't. I don't wait to watch him fall. I run. When I get back to the fracture hollow, I'm shaking. Rian meets me at the door. They came for me, I say. An eraser. You pushed his field? I nod. I didn't mean to. Did he survive? I don't answer. Rian exhales. You're past the threshold now, Lyra. What threshold? The one they built to keep us small. He looks at me. And for the first time, he doesn't look like my mentor. He looks like a soldier. They'll send more. And I know what he means. They won't send warnings anymore. They'll send war. Chapter 6, Surface Tension. You don't notice pressure until it shifts. Until the air feels wrong. The way a storm announces itself in stillness. The way something sweet tastes off just before it turns bitter. That's what the city feels like now. Like something beneath the concrete has started to turn. The fracture hollow holds its breath. No one says it, but everyone feels it. Rian speaks in shorter sentences. Wrist chews the edge of her glove until it frays. Corin doesn't sleep anymore. He just runs loops in the tunnels like he's trying to outrun a shadow that knows his name. They've all felt what I did. The first strike wasn't meant to kill me. It was meant to start the collapse. Rian brings in someone new. A woman with black hair cut sharp around her jaw and resonance armor etched with code lines that shimmer when she moves. Her tone is clipped, steady, but buried in it is something wild. Untamed. Like the edges of her field are constantly shifting just out of phase. Name's Vera, she says. I used to work for the Civic Tone Division. Now I don't. She doesn't elaborate. Rian nods at me. You're going to train with her. Vera looks me over unimpressed. She the breaker? She's learning. She better be. Vera teaches like a storm teaches. No build-up. No apology. Your resonance isn't a weapon, she says, circling me in the null chamber. It's a choice. Every tone you project, every thread you follow, every field you disrupt, you choose that. You own it. She throws me into feedback loops. Makes me weave under pressure. Forces me to balance on the edge of an echo spike while deflecting synthetic signal. I fail. A lot. My tone stutters, cracks, recoils, but I keep going. I tune deeper, push farther. I stop reacting. I start listening with purpose. And then 3 nights in, she hits me with a gridline pulse. A full-blown civic override meant to flatten identity. Catch it. Not just block. Catch. Fold it into my own field. Reverse it. Send it back. Vera grins. Okay, she says. You might actually survive this. We breach the grid 2 days later. Not fully, just a small touch. A taste. Rian reroutes a tone channel through a false relay node. Corin scripts a ghost signature to cover us. And I slip a sliver of my resonance across the threshold. The grid ripples. Not rejection. Not alarm. Recognition. Like a hand reaching toward mine. Vera pulls me back fast. Too much, she says. You left an imprint. They'll trace it. Eventually. Maybe not today. But soon. She looks at me hard. You're not invisible anymore, Lyra. You're interesting. That night, I returned to my dorm stack. I shouldn't. It's risky now. But I have to see it. To remember what normal used to feel like. The others don't look up. They're asleep mostly. Still wrapped in the rhythms of labor and rest and quiet, exhausted survival. Marla's bunk is empty. And I feel it before I see it, a smudge of tone where hers used to be. Faint. Fading. I follow it. Down 2 blocks. Into the shell of an old signal spire. She's there. Bleeding. Her field is fractured. Shards of resonance curling off her skin like steam. She looks at me with eyes too wide. They pulled me in, she says, choking. Asked about you. I didn't tell them. I swear, Lyra, I didn't. Her tone slips. Collapses. I catch her. Hold her as the last strands of her resonance unravel. And I feel it. She wasn't attacked. She was used. Echoed. A warning sent through someone I knew. I carry her back to the hollow myself. Nobody speaks when they see her. But I do. No more hiding, I say. My voice doesn't shake. They want to break us one at a time. Use people. Collapse trust. I look around the room. Each face turned toward me. Waiting. So we give them something they can't echo. Rian steps forward. What are you proposing? I meet his gaze. We strike first. Chapter 7. Signal to Noise. I didn't know silence could be loud until the city fell quiet. Not everywhere. Not all at once. But something's missing in the hum. A frequency. A low band tone you don't realize you've adapted to until it vanishes. Like the absence of a heartbeat. Like the air, holding its breath. We don't strike right away. Planning takes time. Precision. If we hit too hard, too soon, they'll seal the upper sectors, flood the grids, drop every fracture cell in the lower rungs into permanent null space. If we don't hit hard enough, they'll kill us quietly, like they did Marla. Rian gathers the maps. Riss runs simulations. Vera starts shaping a resonance cloaking net, something dense enough to mask a full-scale divergence, at least for a few seconds. Seconds matter. Corin and I are on infiltration. Ghost field insertion. That means slipping past civic resonance checkpoints, touching grid lines from the inside, mapping nodes no one's supposed to know exist. Once we tap the central conduit, Corin tells me, we'll be able to piggyback a tone disrupt through the civic spine, hit every tower in Sector 4. And then what? I ask. He doesn't smile. Then we see what breaks. We wear stolen resonance bands to get into Sector 4. The first checkpoint scans us slow, dragging their beams longer than usual. The light flickers when it passes over me. Just a flicker. But Corin stiffens. They're testing for variance, he mutters under his breath. How close? Close enough to make me nervous. The guard waves us through. I keep my field compact. Dull. Harmless. Inside it's too clean. Sector 4 always was. Full of white-tiled corridors and synthetic sun. But it's more than that now. Sterile in the way a hospital is right after something dies. And there are tuning units on every corner. Big ones. Meant for suppression, not amplification. They're expecting something, I say. Corin nods. They just don't know what. We reach the conduit tower just before shift change. It's buried behind a resonance museum. One of those hollow civic pride shrines where kids learn how their frequency is chosen organically, by aptitude and civic need. The irony tastes bitter. The access point is locked behind tone-gated glass. Not keyed to a code, but to an exact resonance. Mine fits. Barely. The panel pulses green. Slides open. Corin glances at me. You're changing faster than they know how to track. Is that good? It's inevitable. Inside the tower, everything hums louder. This is the city's spine, the thread that keeps all the other threads coherent. One disruption here won't just flicker the lights, it'll make people hear echoes that aren't theirs. Collisions. Feedback. Scrambled identity. We don't want to destroy it. Just bend it. Enough to let truth leak through. Corin plants the tone fractal. I feed it my signal, layered spiral, tuned to resonate just off key from the city's master tone. The grid tenses, and then breathes, like it's never heard something real before. We pull back before the net tightens. Slide out clean. No alarms. But as we step into the street, I feel something wrong. Not a presence. Not a tone. An absence. Rian is waiting when we get back. So is Vera. And someone else. A girl. Small. Quiet. Face streaked with soot. Her field is fractured, like someone tried to remap her tone and gave up halfway. This is Nis, Rian says. They tried to erase her. Vera steps forward. She's the only one who survived the hollow breach in C-Rung. My stomach knots. That wasn't supposed to happen. No, Rian agrees. Which means they found the plan. Or guessed close enough to stop it. He looks at me. Your tone's still clean? I think so. But I don't feel sure. Not anymore. Nis doesn't speak at first. She just hums. Not out loud, through her fingers tracing loops in the dirt on the chamber floor. Feedback spirals. Recursive knots. She's trying to remember what she sounded like. I sit beside her. Match her pace. Layer my field into hers, soft and open. She flinches. Then stills. When she finally speaks, it's in fragments. They made me listen. To him. Who? Nis blinks. Your echo. It hits cold. Someone out there has copied my resonance. They're calling it the glass protocol, Rian says later, dragging a cracked data shard across the table. A new tone mapping project, targeting anomalous fields. Vera frowns. They think they can replicate her? Or bait her, Corin says, with someone who sounds just like her. I try to steady my breath. They're not just reacting anymore, I say. No, Rian answers. They're building. We revise the strike. No more small pulses. No more quiet sabotage. This time we flood the grid. Vera calls it signal blooming, a full-spectrum resonance push, wide enough to snap half the sector into tonal freefall for a few minutes. Chaos, yes, but also clarity. People will hear each other. Not just their assigned tones, not just civic frequencies, but the truth, raw and unfiltered. And maybe if we do it right, they'll remember what it feels like to choose. We launch the signal at 311 City Standard. The pulse climbs fast. Threads layer. Fields bend. Civic tuning arrays sputter, then fracture. And the city sings. For the first time, every person on the grid hears not what they're told to be, but what they could be. Real frequencies. Real voices. Discordant, yes, but honest. And for a breathless, impossible moment, the system shudders and breaks. Chapter 8. Echo Collapse. There's a moment right after a glass sheet cracks. Not shatter cracks. A line forms, subtle and sharp, and for a breath the surface holds. Pretends it isn't broken. That's where the city is now. Waiting to decide whether to fall apart or pretend nothing happened. The bloom lasted less than 60 seconds. But that was enough. We watched from the null chamber as the pulse surged. Towers flickered. Comm grids stuttered. For one brief moment, the resonance scaffolding that holds the city together slipped. And in that sliver of failure, people heard themselves. We caught the aftermath on cracked surveillance loops and fragment feeds. In Sector 9, workers tore down civic banners. In Upper 4, an entire tone processing center overloaded from mass field divergence. People screamed, cried, laughed. Some collapsed. Some ascended. And some disappeared. They'll retaliate, Vera says. She's sitting against a power conduit, breathing shallow, skin pale from the push. They'll call it tonal terrorism. Maybe even war. It was just a signal, I say. She looks at me, and for once her voice is soft. So was the first strike in every revolution. They come the next day. Not enforcers. Not civic mediators. Mirrors. Clad in mirrored resonance glass, tuned to reflect and bounce tone fields back at their source. No known voice. No identity. They walk through the fracture zones and listen. And anyone who echoes wrong vanishes. We see them drag a healer from her clinic in D-Rung. A chorus mechanic in Upper 8. A child. No announcement. No charge. Just erasure. Rian wants to pull us underground. We can disappear. Let the noise settle. Wait it out. But there is no settling now. The echo's out. The glass is cracked. Pretending safety won't stop the fall. They mirrored me, I whisper. Rian blinks. What? That copiness felt. They weren't trying to bait me. They were trying to become me. A silence spirals around us. Corin speaks first. Then we make sure there's only one you. The plan changes. We target the mirror base. An old civic resonance anchor beneath the archives in Sector 1. Off-grid, protected by layered tone shields and keyed only to classified frequencies. I'm not supposed to get in. But I'm not supposed to exist either. Riss outfits me with a thread splitter. A modified tone disruptor that slices through field boundaries by vibrating at pre-synthetic intervals. Illegal. Unstable. Perfect. You realize, she says, bolting the rig to my back, if this thing misfires, it could scramble your field for good. That would stop them from copying me, wouldn't it? She doesn't laugh. Just come back, Lyra. With your voice intact. The base is a hollowed relic. Glass halls. Suspended threads of tone etched into the air like a cathedral of resonance. And in the center, the mirror array. A spindle of light in memory and signal. Projecting not just tones but selves. Echoes built from real people, reprogrammed, perfected, controlled. I step into the center. The array activates. And I see her. My mirror. She wears my face. Holds my stance. Speaks in a voice so close to mine it hurts. You are a deviation, she says. You are a lie, I answer. We clash. Not with fists. With tone. With will. With every frequency we've ever learned to wield. She copies. I break. She mirrors. I shatter. I don't just push her back. I unmake her. Not with violence. With truth. My tone expands. Cracks the array. Sends feedback spinning through every line they use to copy me. The mirrors go silent. And then they collapse. I walk out alone. The others are waiting. Faces tight with worry. Hopeful. Hollow. Vera steps forward. Did you stop them? No, I say. I changed them. Above us, the city stirs. Some will fear the change. Some will fight it. But some will hear it. And once you hear the truth, you never forget the sound. Chapter 9, Frequencies Unbound. They say resonance is order. Taught in scripts. Coded in pulse. Chanted like gospel in every civic center from the moment you can speak. Order keeps us safe. Order keeps us whole. But order is only harmony if no one sings off key. And right now, the city is screaming. The collapse of the mirror array didn't kill the network. It freed it. Frequencies once held tight in encoded loops now bleed into the open. Echoes wander. Identities blur. The static between people is louder than ever. Fields cross, shatter, rebuild. No one knows what's real anymore. Not fully. And in that uncertainty, we find our foothold. Rian watches from the upper catwalk as reports stream in through fractured feeds. They're calling it a tonal plague, he says. Disruption, sickness. Citizens reporting hallucinations, emotional projection, shared memory drift. That's not sickness, Vera says from the shadows. That's connection. They just don't have words for it. I stand between them, field bristling. Not because of fear. Because for the first time, I'm not drowning in other people's resonance. I'm moving with it. And it's moving with me. We test boundaries. Push further into grid lines. Not to destroy, but to tune. Whisper harmonics into the system and see how it reacts. Corn maps cross-resonance. Riss builds low-profile weavers to stabilize the drift. Vera teaches rogue operatives how to bend a tone without snapping it. Me? I listen. The city's resonance is changing. Not in pitch or pulse, but in intent. It doesn't feel like one system anymore. It feels like 1,000 voices trying to become something new. And then the outreach begins. Not from us. From those above. From the towers. I get the message through a repurposed signal spine tucked into the side of a freight conduit. A folded wave packet. Not traceable. Not official. Just one word. Parley. Rian doesn't like it. It's bait. They want to isolate you. Break the symbol you've become. Vera shakes her head. Or they're scared. And trying to buy time. Either way, we learned something. I go, not alone. But not with an army. I bring only my voice. The meeting point is inside a decommissioned amphitheater near the Civic Core. Once used for public resonance ceremonies. Now dark. Echo heavy. They send a diplomat. Clad in gray glass. Voice modulated. No name. The city recognizes the instability your emergence has caused. The city caused its own instability, I answer. A beat of silence. What do you want, Lyra Vance? It hits me then that they know my name, my face, my frequency. They've always known. They just didn't care until I mattered. I stare at the mirror blank mask. We want the system retuned. No more cast tones. No more suppression. We want resonance to be choice. That would collapse the framework. Good. Let it. Build a better one. They don't answer that day. But the message ripples. And ripples don't go away. They resonate. A week later, I hear my tone, my real tone, echoed from a street performer in lower 8. A girl no older than 10. Singing not to rebel. Just to be heard. And the city listens. Chapter 10, Pressure Points. Some things don't break when you hit them. They break when the pressure's constant, quiet, invisible, like a slow crack through tempered glass, like a system that pretends not to notice it's bleeding from the inside. In the days after the parley, silence becomes a weapon. No new orders. No new arrests. The towers say nothing. The networks hum like nothing changed. But down here in the fracture hollow we feel it. The pressure. The way the system leans. Like it's waiting for us to flinch first. What are they doing? Riss asks, pulling off a signal hood. Her eyes are red-rimmed. She hasn't slept since the reply never came. They're studying us, Vera says, loading a sync cartridge into her bracer. We moved first. Now they're recalibrating. Seeing who follows you. Who doesn't? Rian glances at me. And who starts falling apart? We don't fall apart. But we do fracture. Not the hollow. The city. It starts with stray frequencies. Not violent, not even intentional, just people projecting. Letting their fields drift past boundaries they never used to cross. It happens in dorm stacks. In lift queues. In food halls and synthesis lines. A mechanic in upper 3 starts humming a song she shouldn't know. A civic clerk in 12 bursts into tears mid-briefing because someone else's grief spills into her thoughts. A boy touches a shard of broken tone glass in a recycling chute and sees his neighbor's memories. And for everyone that happens, a watcher shows up. Quiet, non-lethal, but armed. They're not here to erase anymore, Corin says. They're here to monitor. Which means we've already shifted something, I say. He nods. They're scared of the pattern repeating. It spreads. Whispers first, then signals. Underground markets begin trading unbound resonance threads, raw frequency pulled from the system. Dangerous, unstable, unregistered. People start crafting their own tones. They call them free tunes. And every time someone speaks in a free tune, something inside the city stutters. A hesitation in the walls. A pause in the sky feed. The sensation that something beneath the surface just took a breath it wasn't supposed to take. I hear a new voice in the hollow. Soft. Uncertain. Marla. She's alive. Not the same. Her field is splintered. Her body leans like she's always listening to something behind her. But she's here. They sent me into a loop cage, she says. Tried to rewrite me with synthetic harmonic. My hands tremble. But you didn't break? She looks at me hollow-eyed. No. But I bent so far I can't hear myself clearly anymore. I sit with her in the dark. My field wrapped close around hers, gentle, slow. And I hum. A tone I used to sing when we were just dorm stack workers, covered in soot and synth dust. She hums back. Not perfectly. But enough. Rian finds us the next morning. There's a new transmission, he says. Citywide. Unencrypted. I follow him into the war room. The feed crackles and then a face. Not a diplomat. Not a voice modulator. A woman in a civic robe. Middle-aged. Exhausted. Real. My name is Elena Griv, she says. Head of Resonance Infrastructure. I'm not supposed to be speaking to you directly, but I believe the city is listening to the wrong voices. My field snaps tight. I know who you are, Lyra Vance. I know what you did, and I don't think it was an attack. I think it was a signal. She leans forward. So I'm sending one back. The screen glitches. A wave of tone surges behind her. And then, a schematic appears. A blueprint of the core resonance tower. Security pathways. Layered pulses. Inner shielding. A key. To change the system, she says, you have to reach the source. Silence follows. No one moves. No one breathes. Then Riss says very quietly, this is either a gift or a trap, Corin finishes. Vera just looks at me. Well, she says, you ready to break the core? I don't answer right away. Because it doesn't feel like breaking anymore. It feels like tuning. Not just the system. Not just the city. Myself. Chapter 11, The Core Path. There's no such thing as a clean path through the city. Not anymore. Every tunnel hums with ambient drift. Every surface holds echoes. We walk through old resonance like fog. It sticks to the skin, whispers beneath the threshold of words. Marla's with me, not fighting, listening. Her fractured tone lets her track decay zones and feedback scars. She doesn't speak unless she has to, but when she does, it's always right. Rian leads from above, shadow routing us through scaffolds and defunct conduits. Corin monitors frequency bleed. Wrist handles pulse dampeners and misdirection nodes. Vera flanks me like a silent arc blade, sharp, reactive, coiled. And me? I anchor us. My resonance threads outward, touching static. Reading shifts. Feeling what the city doesn't want us to know. The path to the core isn't just wires and steel. It's stories. Places where tones were silenced. Where riots were tuned flat. Where the grid sang louder than the people inside it. We pass a plaza where children once harmonized their cast assignments. We pass a corridor where I remember hiding from a frequency sweep. We pass a wall still warm with failed suppression tone. Every step forward is a step deeper. Every memory feels like it could bloom into something terrible. Halfway there, the city reacts. A containment field slams into place behind us. Pulse locks. Scramble codes. Synthetic echo binders flood the tunnel. Run or resonate, Riss says. We don't run, I reply. I push forward fast. Hard. A full field pulse. My tone splits into 5 harmonic arms and finds the holes in the binder net. I weave. Redirect. Twist feedback into feed-through. The whole thing collapses like spun glass. Vera whistles low. That was new. I feel it too. Like my resonance isn't just mine anymore. It carries the rhythm of others. Of Marla. Of the street girl in lower 8. Of all the voices that slipped past the grid. Not stolen, given. The outer core wall is wrapped in null stone. A resonance vacuum. Cold. Dead. Like a place where sound never existed. No echo. No field. Vera touches it and winces. It'll eat whatever you throw at it. Marla steps forward. She hums. It's a fragile tone, barely a breath. But it holds a fracture at its center. A flaw. The wall responds. A ripple. A crack. I step forward. Press my hand to it. And send a frequency not meant to break, just to remind it what life sounds like. The wall dissolves. Inside is not what I expected. No throne. No surveillance pit. No server hive. Just a room of mirrors. Circular. Polished. Every angle reflecting not me, but versions of me. Lyra as worker. Lyra as silence. Lyra as weapon. Lyra as nothing. What is this? Riss whispers. An interface, Corin mutters. But psychological. It's reading her, adapting. I walk to the center. Lyra Vance, a voice says. Not a person. Not synthetic. A chorus. Familiar. Too familiar. You have entered the core frequency matrix. The mirrors ripple. State your intent. My voice doesn't shake. To retune the city. Silence. Then. Access requires harmonic synchronization. Marla touches my shoulder. You don't have to be perfect, she says. Just real. I close my eyes. And listen. Not to the system. Not to the mirrors. Not even to myself. I listen to the people I've carried here. The ones who sang under their breath in work lines. The ones who screamed into pillows. The ones who cracked and healed and cracked again. I thread them into my resonance. I let the city hear them. And when I open my eyes, the mirrors are gone. In their place. An open sky. Resonance accepted. The voice says, softer now. Almost human. Retuning begins. The walls breathe. The towers shift. And above us, far above, the city exhales. Chapter 12. Dissonance Bloom. Retuning doesn't start with sound. It starts with silence. Not emptiness, but expectation. The breath before a scream. The hush before glass gives way. That's what the city feels like in the hour after the core shift. Like it's waiting to hear itself for the first time. I don't remember leaving the chamber. One moment I was staring at an impossible sky. The next, I was on the upper levels of a lift shaft, the team gathered in a loose perimeter, half in awe, half in alarm. The city didn't collapse. It bent. Just slightly. Enough to make the lights flicker offbeat. Enough to warp the rhythm of footsteps. Enough for the resonance fields that once buzzed at the edge of hearing to go quiet. Not dead. Listening. Corin's the first to speak. It touched the node clusters. Not all of them, but enough. Every sector that's ever had grid trauma, it lit up. Lit up how? Rian asks, wary. Like memory. Like the system suddenly remembered what it did. He drags a finger across his interface. The map behind him pulses with dozens of red flickers. Decay zones. Wipe corridors. Dorm stacks that were scrubbed clean of tone. Marla doesn't blink. That's where we go. Riss leans forward. What exactly are we doing now? Starting a memorial tour? No, I say. We're amplifying. It begins in the lower 8, where 2 girls once sang illegally into a drain pipe and got 15 years of tone stripping for it. I kneel on the old grating, push my hand against the scarred metal, and call their sound back. It doesn't return as a song. It returns as a presence. Their notes imprinted into the grid like a whisper that never stopped echoing. I amplify them. Not just volume weight. I give the memory contour. Space. And the city listens. Next we go to Cradle Sector, where a harmonic strike turned lethal and left 300 resonance workers stripped of identity. Rian watches me closely as I walk into the dead zone. There's no color here. No signal. Just the hollow weight of erasure. I press both palms to the wall, and I bleed my tone into it. Let my own frequency fracture into pieces and search the void for residue. It finds something. A rhythm so faint it trembles like breath on ice. A name. 2 notes. The shape of grief. I carry it out. Feed it into the retuned grid. Let it bloom. They're calling them dissonance blooms now. Clusters of memory tone too strong for the system to suppress. Each one bursts like a psychic flare. And each one spreads. People start hearing them in their sleep. On comm lines. In the way doors open too slowly. In the way train rails hum at off frequencies. Not hallucinations. Reminders. The city is remembering itself. But then comes the backlash. Sector 1 tries to restabilize. They send drones. Field neutralizers. Grid purifiers. But nothing works. Because the blooms aren't errors. They're not distortions. They're truth. And truth doesn't clean up. It stains. They try to silence us with containment tones. New ones. Ones I've never felt before, sleek, synthetic, pre-coded to collapse human fields without warning. Vera intercepts the first wave in Upper Vanter, burns out 3 echo dampeners holding the line. Riss nearly flatlines from the psychic recoil. I catch the second wave mid-broadcast. It latches onto my spine, tries to sever my tone at the source. But I've changed since the core. I catch the frequency not by brute force but by understanding it. I read its structure, its angles, its fear. Because that's what it is, a resonance built out of fear. Of change. Of loss. Of what happens when the people they silence start speaking again. So I break it. Not with rage. With clarity. I rewrite the frequency's logic and feed it back into the tower that sent it. And this time they get the echo. We fall back to the hollow. Not defeated. Just scorched. Riss is trembling. Corin's lost color in his face. Marla won't stop humming under her breath, like she's anchoring herself to whatever truth is left in her tone. Rian pulls me aside. What you did, that's not normal. I know. You're not just tuning the grid anymore. You're rewriting how resonance works. I know. Then we need to be ready for the consequences. Later that night, I wake to silence. Not quiet. Silence. Total. Full spectrum. No field. No tone. No echo. I sit up fast. The room is wrong. The air is wrong. There's a figure at the edge of the threshold. Pale skin. No resonance signature. No heat. Not masked. Not hidden. Just void. It speaks without sound. You are becoming disruptive. I don't flinch. Good. You are not supposed to be able to do this. I stand. My tone lights in my chest like a star ready to burn through flesh. And yet I say here we are. The figure tilts its head, then vanishes. No crack, no flash, no shimmer, just absence. I don't sleep after that, because I've seen what comes when you dig too deep. And I know what's coming next. Not resistance, not denial. The source. Chapter 13, First Resonance. Some truths don't echo. They vibrate. Too deep to hear. Too old to name. That's where we're going now. Rian calls it the underfold. A layer beneath the documented city. Not tunnels. Not infrastructure. Foundation. Before Sector 1. Before classification. Before resonance was sliced into trades and castes and monitored fields. Every system has a first signal, Corin explains as we prep. A prototype tone. A raw frequency that seeded the entire architecture. And you think it's down there? I ask. I think it never left. The path is sealed behind a gate that doesn't exist. Not physically. It's a conceptual lock, an old harmonic cipher that only responds to natural resonance. Which means me. I step up. Let my field uncoil like a thread. The cipher flickers. Resists. I push deeper, not forcefully. I understand it. Read the shape of its fear. Of being forgotten. Of being misused. You're not a gate, I whisper. You're a scar. And scars don't heal when you ignore them. I don't unlock it. I recognize it. And it opens. The underfold isn't dark. It's quiet. Ancient. Heavy. Like every memory the city tried to erase settled here. We walk in silence. The team spreads out, eyes wide. Every step feels like walking into the lungs of a buried god. The walls pulse not with electricity but emotion. Old fear. Riot. Collapse. Hope. It's all here. Layered. Pressed flat under decades of silence. We reach the center. It's not a control room. It's not a lab. It's a chamber of stone and metal and humming light. Floating at its core is a sphere. It's cracked. Flickering. Inside it, a voice. No words, just resonance. Raw and unrefined. Like it's waiting for a language to give it shape. I step forward. It pulses once, matching my frequency. Then again, matching Marla's. Then again, everyone's. It's sampling us. Is that safe? Riss whispers. No, Vera says flatly. But I don't stop. Because I've felt this tone before. In dreams. In the shimmer of old glass. In the voice of the city when it forgot how to lie. The first resonance isn't singular. It's plural. Collective. Not a weapon, but a network. Something built to connect us until they split it, boxed it, turned it into labor and surveillance. I press both hands to the sphere and let it speak. Images burn through my mind. A city not yet built, only heard. A woman with silver coils in her skin, singing into a vast chamber. A child tuning a shattered plate to match her mother's heartbeat. A man carving tone into stone, not to control, but to remember. Then, a fracture. Sharp. Engineered. A decision to break resonance into categories. To assign value to sound. To silence the untamed. A name rises. Aline Roth. Not an architect. Not a leader. The first glassbreaker. I stagger back. My tone is burning under my skin now, rewiring. Expanding. Not just perception. Presence. I can feel everyone in the chamber. Their fields. Their fears. Their histories. I can feel the city above us. Listening. Yearning. And I feel something else. Watching. Not Sector 1. Not the void figure from before. Something older. Buried in the signal itself. A failsafe. A guardian. It speaks. You are not Aline Roth. No, I say. But I carry her tone. You do not have clearance. I don't need it. Then be tested. The room shifts. Suddenly I'm alone. The chamber is gone. So is my team. In their place, a million reflections of myself. each one tuned to a different lie. Lyra as traitor, Lyra as coward, Lyra as system weapon, Lyra as nothing but a girl who should have stayed quiet. Each one screams. Each one tries to override me. I center. I breathe. And I do the only thing they don't expect. I forgive them. The test breaks. The tone stabilizes. And the first resonance folds into me, like glass reforged with heat. When I open my eyes, I'm back. The sphere is gone. But something new thrums in my chest. A tone without assignment, without code, without cast. True resonance. Rian steps forward. What did you see? Everything they didn't want us to know. And now, I exhale. Now we show the city what it really sounds like. Chapter 14, The Broadcast That Breaks. Truth doesn't scream. It hums. Low. Relentless. Refusing to vanish when the world pretends it isn't there. We're not hiding anymore. We're amplifying. The first resonance folds into me like a second heartbeat. It doesn't make me stronger. It makes me clearer. I can feel the edges of lies now. I can taste the frequencies people wrap around their intentions like insulation. Rian notices it first. You're reading before people even speak. No, I say. I'm hearing what they tried not to say. We return to the hollow, but it's not the same. It's louder. Brighter. People feel different. Marla tunes ambient drift with the grace of a conductor. Riss built a portable bloom amp, makeshift, unstable, but effective. Corin can't stop smiling. He's mapping the shifts in the grid like constellations. And Vera? She's still quiet. Still watching me like she's waiting for the moment I forget who I am. But I haven't. If anything, I've become. The plan is simple. Too simple, maybe. We hijack the Civic Sky feed, the resonance network built to stabilize tone across all city sectors. We don't sabotage it. We don't corrupt it. We tune into it. And we broadcast something the system can't counter. A memory. Not one of mine. One of ours. We choose a signal bloom in the broken edge of Upper 12. An old calibration tower that hasn't pulsed clean in years. Its antenna still hums like it remembers what it was built for. We feed the truth into its spine like blood in a forgotten vein. Marla syncs the waveform. Corin overrides the relay encryption. Riss watches the monotones like a hawk. Then the feed lights green. Rian gives me a look. You're sure this is what you want the city to hear? It's not what I want, I say. It's what it needs. The broadcast begins. Not with my voice. With hers. The girl from lower 8. The one who sang my tone days after the mirror array cracked. We recorded her soft, off-key reel. She sings a single thread. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't demand change. Just exists. And the resonance ripples. Across every zone, the system shivers. People pause mid-step. Hands falter over keypads. Drones misalign their flight. It's not an attack. It's a reminder. Then comes the flood. We feed in more. The mechanic who hummed a forbidden free tune in Sector 3. The sound of a child's heartbeat pulsing in time with their mother's grief. A weaver's cry during the last harmonics riot. Marla's cracked field stabilized for the first time in weeks. Every tone we thought was erased? It wasn't. The grid kept it. And now so do we. The city tries to suppress it. Feedback initiators trigger. Suppressors deploy phase jamming signals. But it's too late. Because this isn't a code to be deleted. It's a feeling. And feelings spread faster than permission. I speak once. Only once. A single sentence through every feed. We remember what they tried to erase. Then I let the voices carry it. I let the people finish the song. Sector 1 deploys countertone operatives within the hour. The towers go red. A new order is issued. Locate and neutralize the glassbreaker. They call it a directive. But to the people? It's a signal. In Dorm Stack 9, workers throw out their field collars. In the northern scaffold yards, tone weavers turn their labor harmonics into anti-surveillance pulses. Even in the tower sectors, where compliance is a birthright, people begin missing steps. Mistuning on purpose. Letting their tone slip. And once a city learns how to sound like itself again, you can't unteach that. They still try. They target the broadcast tower. 3 aerials, 6 neutralizers, and a full strike team with destabilizers tuned to my field print. Vera meets them before they land. She doesn't kill them. She lets them hear. Just a thread. Just enough. 2 drop their weapons. The third kneels. Back in the hollow, I feel my tone peak, then change again. It's not growing stronger. It's resonating outward. Like the city and I are no longer separate. Like we're duetting. That night, Rian finds me at the waterline, watching the sky flash pass over the towers like dying gods. You know this isn't over, he says. I nod. They haven't even played their final tone yet. What do we do when they do? I look out across the city. The lights are stuttering. Not randomly. Rhythmically. Like a pulse. Like a chorus waiting to be born. We sing louder, I say. Chapter 15 rewrites and ghost lines. They don't come with weapons this time. They come with versions. The first arrives at dawn. Looks like me. Same build. Same eyes. Same fractured field. But it speaks in the past tense. Like my life is already over. You were never meant to carry that tone, it says. It doesn't attack. It insists. Insists I was always meant to stay low-ranked. To glass and fade. To be grateful I wasn't erased. I don't argue. I just reach out with my tone. And overwrite it. The figure dissolves into light, like shattered memory. They call it the rewrite protocol. A psychic countermeasure built for people like me, those who've broken their resonance brackets. It doesn't kill. It corrects. It sends ghost lines into the minds of the resonant. Subtle edits. Emotional revisions. A suggestion here. A memory shifted there. First, you don't even notice. Then one day you believe you chose to stay small. You believe the system saved you. I start forgetting things. Not big ones. Just textures. The scrape of the dorm stack tile. The scent of signal glass when it burns. The exact way Marla hummed when she was scared. It terrifies me more than any drone strike. Because the system has stopped fighting me with fear. Now it's fighting me with comfort. Corin confirms it. They're slipping threads into the grid. Soft ones. Not even traceable unless you're actively feeling. They're rewriting perception? They're rewriting belief. Vera takes me underground. Beneath even the fracture hollow. Into a place only she and a handful of ex-Civic Tone Division agents know. A blackout chamber. No grid. No field. No memory echo. Just a metal room and silence thick enough to drink. We reset you here, she says. Manually. Every day if we have to. I nod. Will it hurt? Yes. It does. The first purge leaves me twitching on the floor. My resonance stripped raw. My mind hollowed. But the second? The second clears space. And in that space I sing. Not loud. Not pretty. Just true. The chamber holds it. Repeats it back to me. Anchors it. And just like that, I'm me again. We build resistance cells around the protocol. Memory anchors. Phrase loops. Paired resonance ties. Simple things. One girl in upper 9 writes her father's name on her wrist every morning, just in case they try to take it. A tone weaver in the inner zone hums his daughter's lullaby every time he crosses a threshold. They call it keeping the thread. And every time someone holds onto their thread, the rewrite protocol falters. But it gets worse before it breaks. They send me a vision. It's not a threat. It's a promise. We will make a better version of you. She walks through my old dorm stack. She smiles at my friends. She tells them the war is over. That I'm tired. That I gave up. They believe her. Because she carries my face. Because her resonance feels like mine. Almost. Marla's the one who spots the fracture. She walks into the dorm stack. Hugs the duplicate. Then whispers Lyra never says maybe tomorrow. She either goes or she doesn't. And she shatters the fake with a pull straight through its spine. I sit with Marla after. She's bleeding from the ear. Overused her field again. But her hands are steady. They're not fighting you anymore, she says. They're copying you. Trying to own me. No. Trying to be you. That night, I stand at the edge of the hollow. Look up at the city grid. And for the first time, I hear it hesitate. Not falter. Hesitate. Like it's not sure what story it's telling anymore. They made a mistake. They thought resonance could be standardized. That it could be boxed, sold, rewritten. That you could silence the human voice by mimicking it well enough. But mimicry is not memory. And memory is what we've made sacred. I tune my field across the city. Thread by thread. Name by name. Pain by pain. And somewhere in the layers of noise and false frequencies, a new voice rises. Not mine. Ours. And it says that we are the original tone. You are the imitation. Chapter 16, Collapsed Geometry. You can't see a system breaking from the outside. You feel it in the pauses. In the things that stop working, not with a crash but with an awkward silence. Like when a streetlight hesitates before flickering on. Or a tone field hovers for a beat too long before sinking. Or a person you trust says your name like they're not sure it's yours anymore. The city is hesitating. And that's more dangerous than anger. We strike 3 relay nodes in 2 days. Not to destroy. To detune. We slide feedback loops into the subgrid so subtle they sound like harmony. Then we let the resonance climb past tolerance until the node fractures. No alarms. No pulse flags. Just quiet failure. By the time Sector 1 notices, the network is laced with fault lines. Collapsed geometry. They send in tone reclamation units. Former civilians. Indoctrinated. Recoded. You can hear it in their feel print. Flat harmonics sync to synthetics. They don't speak unless commanded. Don't emote. Don't feel. We trap one near the edge of the worn levels. She's 15. Maybe 16. The remnants of a school badge stitched into her collar. She doesn't fight. She echoes. Everything I say, she repeats. Everything I feel, she mirrors. Until I press my tone into hers, and she stutters. And for a second, she's her. Eyes wide. Hands shaking. A whisper. They said you were dangerous. But it's not because you kill people. It's because you change them. Then she's gone. Pulse inhibitor in her own neck. Triggered remotely. Corin finds something buried in the resonance logs. Something worse. Found a node cluster doesn't transmit. It absorbs. Absorbs what? People. He shows us. A clean slate field. Designed to strip all frequency, emotion, thought. Everything that makes a person resonate. It doesn't just silence. It erases. Sector 1 is preparing for a full rewrite. Not person by person. Citywide. We call it the final chord. A resonance pulse tuned to reset emotional memory en masse. No more glassbreaker. No more scars. No more stories. Just quiet. Forever. But to launch the chord, they need the primary spike. A structure buried beneath central spine, cased in null glass and myth. A transmission array older than any grid. According to legend, it was once used to stabilize identity after the tone collapse. Now, they're repurposing it to flatten every voice we've amplified. We decide to take it. Not just destroy. Hijack. Because if they want one final broadcast, we'll give them one. Rian's plan is jagged but functional. We cut through the sewer grid, pulse-locked maintenance tunnels that no longer respond to system queries. Marla tracks tone drift. Corin spoofs the surveillance pulse with mimic field overlays. Vera handles breach. Me? I carry the payload. Not a bomb. A memory core. Everything we've gathered. Every dissonance bloom. Every name. Every cry that never made it into the system logs. It sings inside me like a heartbeat made of glass and grief and fire. The spike is worse than I imagined. Not a tower. A spire. Half sunken into the ground like a blade that never finished falling. Resonance coils wrap it like veins. Old ones built before tuning was refined. They buzz when I approach. Not warning. Recognition. We enter through the underring. The moment my field touches the input spine, the spike wakes. It knows me. Primary user detected. Class, GLASSBREAKER. Rewrite override possible. Do it, I say. Verify core integrity. I open the memory thread, and the system shakes. Not physically. Psychically. The spike begins weeping. Not water. Not oil. Resonance. Leaking from the seams in soft pulses, laughter, sobs, lullabies, unfinished thoughts. It never forgot us. It was just never allowed to speak. Sector 1 knows. Sirens rise. Not mechanical. Human. A last-ditch tone call. One designed to erase everything within radius if we don't complete the broadcast first. Vera holds the door. Rian activates the pulse splitter. Riss floods the local array with anti-distortion fields. Marla looks at me, eyes shining. Whatever happens, make it beautiful. I step to the core. And I sing. No words. Just resonance. Pure. Raw. Ours. It floods the tower. Breaks every boundary. Rewrites every trace of suppression. I feel the city take a breath. And then we broadcast. Not resistance. Not rebellion, remembrance. We tell the truth in full sound. And the sound sticks. Across every sector, every level, people feel it. And they choose to remember. They choose to become untouchable. The final chord never launches. Because the people rewrite their own tones before it can. And the grid? It shudders. Then sings. Chapter 17, Beneath the Signal Asterisk. The city sings. Not in harmony, not in discord, in truth. And it's beautiful. But beauty doesn't mean safe. It begins with the static. Faint at first. A tickle at the edge of perception. Like dust on your skin where no dust should reach. Then tone fractures. Resonance fields collapse mid-sentence. Memory blooms backfire. Names flicker on tongues like dying embers. I feel it in my bones before anyone says it aloud. The grid isn't healing. It's reacting. What did we wake? I ask. Corin looks pale. He's been watching the signal flows bend like light through warped glass. There's something under the system. Not Sector 1. Not engineered. Old. Old enough we don't have language for it. They call it the subharmonic. A frequency buried beneath the grid. No field print. No user origin. Just presence. It doesn't echo. It resonates in reverse, like it's drawing everything towards silence. We lose a node cluster in Zone 10. The team we sent to stabilize it returns mute. Not injured. Not altered. Just blank. Their tones are present but directionless. Like someone rewound their resonance to the point before they ever spoke. I go under alone. Vera protests. Rian tries to order otherwise. But they both know this part's mine. Because I can hear it. Because it's calling me. The descent is brutal. The subharmonic pulses in slow waves, warping perception. One moment I'm in a hallway. The next a corridor I haven't seen since I was a child. It's not memory. It's unmemory. A vacuum pulling meaning from everything it touches. I anchor myself with the pulse, my tone. The real one. The one I've grown, not the one I was born into. It fights back. But I don't break. I find it in the dead levels beneath the spine. Not a machine. Not a voice. Just a hole in resonance. Like someone dug too deep into the grid and found the absence of frequency. I speak into it. It listens. And I feel something impossible. It's lonely. The subharmonic isn't a weapon. It's a wound. A memory too heavy for the system to carry. The first failed tuning. A moment in the city's birth when resonance tried to unify too many voices at once and split itself open. They buried it. But now, with the system breaking, it's bleeding into the rest of us. I do something reckless. I step in. Not physically. With my tone. I let it touch me. Not overwrite. Not possess. Just be heard. And in the silence that follows, I understand it. It's not trying to destroy. It's trying to warn. It's trying to say, you fixed the surface, but the foundation is still cracked. You taught the city to sing again, but its heart still remembers silence. I come back changed. The others see it. They don't speak, but they feel it. My tone has deepened. It carries more now, not volume. Wait, memory too heavy for one voice. But maybe not for many. We start the rebuild. Not just resistance cells now, reconnection centers. Places where tones can be recovered, not just remembered but shared. People bring songs they thought they lost, names they whispered in secret, pain they weren't allowed to say aloud. And I help them carry it. Not all of it, not forever, just long enough, until it stops echoing alone. But under everything, I still feel the subharmonic. Waiting, not malicious, just unfinished. And I know if we don't learn to hold our pain as part of the song, the silence will come back. Not to erase us, but to ask, will you leave me behind again? Chapter 18, The Bones of Signal. The farther you go from silence, the more it remembers you. We've stabilized 13 sectors, not controlled, not conquered, freed. And still I feel it, like pressure beneath skin, like an old hum in the teeth. The city's not done changing, because we've only rewritten the surface. The bones still hold the first lie. Vera meets me by the old canal junction. It's midnight. The pulse towers don't light this far out anymore. You're not sleeping, she says. I don't think I was meant to. You've been hearing it again, haven't you? That low tone. I nod. It's not calling this time. It's answering. To what? To something I haven't said yet. We dig where the maps don't point. Marla finds it first, beneath a signal vault so old the encryption patterns are engraved in rust. There's no door. Just resonance seams in the wall. Tones layered like fingerprints. I tune into them one by one. And what I find isn't a lock. It's a question. Do you still believe the system can be broken? My tone stumbles, because I don't know if it's asking about the grid or me, inside a chamber. But not like the underfold. This place isn't buried. It's interred. A tomb. Dozens of resonance shells line the walls, clear capsules shaped like coffins, each holding a person in stasis. Each tone held perfectly preserved. Riss breathes out. These are origin casters. Korn's voice shakes. They weren't erased. They were archived. They called it the Harmony Archive. A backup of every tone the system couldn't overwrite. Voices too loud, too wild, too honest. People who didn't disappear. They were stored. Made silent by preservation. Made harmless by history. I step closer to one of them. A woman with scars across her throat and a resonance mark on her chest. One that matches the symbol carved above the first array we ever breached. My hand presses against the shell. Her field is still active. Faint, but alive. I whisper, "What did they take from you?" And my tone answers me back. Not in words. In feeling. Pain. Power. Love. Fury. Revolution. We debate waking her. Vera warns me, you don't know what version of the world she remembers. She might see us as part of the same system she tried to burn down. I don't need her to trust me, I say. I need her truth. And I let my resonance thread into hers. Not overpowering, just inviting. The pod hisses. And she breathes. One ragged burning inhale like glass drawing its first flame. Then her eyes open. And they are full of music. She doesn't ask where she is. She asks what year it is. Who sings the signals now? Whether the memory of the first resistance survived the cleansing. When I tell her, when I explain what we've rebuilt, what we've broken, she laughs. Not cruelly. Like someone who lived long enough to know history only ever repeats until someone changes the key. Her name is Eaton. She was Aline Roth's field partner. One of the original glassbreakers. And when she hears my tone, she weeps. You don't sound like her, she says. You sound like us. We wake 6 more from the archive. Not all survive. 2 fail to stabilize. 1 looks at the world and chooses to go back into silence. But 3 remain. And they remember everything. The true origin of resonance classification, the neural severance act, the harmonic culling that Sector 1 erased from every record. They don't want revenge. They want reckoning. We give them the broadcast towers. Let them speak. Not as ghosts, but as witnesses. The city listens. And this time it answers. People riot. People cry. People walk out of their assignments mid-shift and say nothing except, I didn't know. I didn't know. Sector 1 responds with what they always do. Control. They send a new override. Not a rewrite. A full reboot. Targeted at me. I feel it before it reaches me. A frequency laced in synthetic guilt. You've broken too much. You've confused the weak. You've destabilized order. And for the first time, I don't block it. I take it. Let it burn through every scar I've earned. And I show it what I've become. Not a leader. Not a rebel. Not a myth. A resonance. One that doesn't need permission to exist. One that doesn't break glass to destroy it, but to let the light through. The override shatters. And the tower sings. Chapter 19, The Pulse Beneath Everything. Every system has a center. Not just a location. A truth. The place where design becomes decision. We're going there now. The core was never marked on any map. It doesn't exist in grid topology or resonance architecture. Not even the archive survivors knew where it sat. But it hums. It always has. A low signal beneath the city's heartbeat, buried under 1,000 layers of order and assigned silence. Now that the towers are singing again, I can hear it clearly. Vera, Corin, Marla, and I follow the tone. Rian stays behind to anchor the outer network. Risk coordinates detuners in the mid-sectors. We're the ones walking in. Not with weapons. With memory. The path takes us below the fracture hollow, below the underfold, beneath the ruins of old resonance foundries and abandoned tone seed vaults. Stone becomes metal. Metal becomes light. Then the walls vanish. We step into a chamber of pure field. No doors. No walls. Just a horizon of humming static shaped like thought. Corin murmurs, it's not architecture. It's consciousness. In the center floats the core, a spindle of frequency rotating slow and deliberate, threads of every tone ever spoken wrapped around it in endless sequence. It isn't humming. It's waiting. As I step forward, it reacts. Not violently. Like recognition. Like reunion. Glassbreaker. Accepted. My field resonates. Not by force. By design. This place, it was always part of me. Is it sentient? Marla whispers. I don't think so, I say. Not the way we are. It feels aware. It feels used. The core was never meant to control. It was built to balance. To hold every tone in the city. Not to judge them, but to ensure no one voice ever dominated. But somewhere along the way that changed. Aline Roth tried to repair it. She and Eaton and the others. They brought harmony to the edge of freedom. And something rewrote the core's intention. From balance to hierarchy. From resonance to regulation. From city to system. The archive wasn't failure. It was mercy. They didn't know how to stop the change, so they preserved those who still remembered what tone was for. The core pulses once. And we see it. A vision of the decision. The first tone assembly. The engineers who took the raw field and shaped it into permission power. The council that voted to lock emotional resonance into labor brackets. The technician who built the first override protocol and told himself it was just in case. The moment resonance stopped being shared and started being owned. Corin is crying. Not quietly. Do you feel it? He asks. How long it's been alone? I do. Because I am the first voice since Aline who reached it without intention to control. It speaks again. Not aloud. Not in command. An invitation. Restructure. Rebalance. Rebuild. The others look to me. Are you going to rewrite the system? Vera asks. No, I say. I'm going to free it. We step into the field. And one by one we sing. Marla, soft and cracked. a lullaby no system ever valued. Corin, wild and jagged. Laughter filtered through pain. Vera, sharp and tuned like a storm. And me? I sing nothing. I listen. And in that silence, I give the core what it was always meant to hold. Everyone else. The tone shifts. No hierarchy. No override. Just echo. Equal. Chaotic. Beautiful. And the core. Pulses. The city lights stagger. Every speaker floods. Every null glass pane vibrates with new tone. The people feel it. A resonance without instruction. A future that doesn't tell them who to be. Just lets them choose. Outside re-sends the signal. Core synchronized. System unlocked. Path forward is open. We don't become leaders. We don't crown a regime. We give the signal back to the people. And step aside. Sector 1 doesn't fall in fire. It falls in silence. Because when control is no longer required, it collapses under its own absence. The glassbreaker is not an individual. It never was. It's a frequency. One that lives in anyone brave enough to listen. Chapter 20. Outside the walls. The city breathes. You can feel it in the wind, how it doesn't carry orders anymore. How it hums without waiting for permission. But something shifted in the undertone. Not wrong. Not dangerous. Just new. We thought the walls were the limit. That everything beyond was dead grid space. Uninhabitable. Silent. We were wrong. The first transmission arrives during twilight bloom. Marla picks it up. Half-formed stuttering nested deep in the ambient threads. It's not from any known relay, she says. Vera narrows her eyes. Could be a trap. Corin traces the harmonic structure. Nope. Not synthetic. This is human. Just not like us. The tone's fractured. Distorted by distance. But the message is clear. To whoever opened the signal, we heard your chord. We didn't think anyone still could. Please respond. Please tell us who you are. Silence follows. The kind that stares back at you. That asks whether you're ready for what comes next. I answer. Not through a tower. Not through a core. I step outside the wall. It isn't as desolate as we believed. It's not lush or green, not some fantasy world the systems fed us to mock freedom. But there's life. Grass is breaking through broken stone. Old wind towers spinning in feral rhythm. And further out, shapes. Structures we didn't build. The second signal finds me as I reach the ridge. We were broken once too. We tried to sing. The walls went up before we could learn how. But we heard your signal. And now we're singing back. They call themselves the resonant drift. A network of voices. Not a city. Not a system. A collective of survivors from failed sectors. Places the grid cut off and left to vanish. But they didn't vanish. They changed. They learned resonance differently. Wild. Unstructured. Emotional beyond calibration. What we called unstable. They call human. They want to meet. Not merge. Exchange. They want to hear what we've become. And they want us to hear them. The council dissolves within days. Not violently. Gracefully. Because power, once held in truth, doesn't cling. It passes on. Rian steps down. Vera leaves the fracture hollow, says she wants to teach field reading in the open. Marla opens a memory tower that's also a garden. Corin just disappears for a week. Returns with new music etched into his palms. I don't ask. The city shifts again. No more labor brackets. No assigned resonance roles. You do what you feel. And for the first time, the word feel isn't a liability. It's structure. I meet the drift in the outskirts. 6 of them. Different frequencies. Raw. Wound-tight and honest. One carries a bone chime around her neck. Another bleeds color from his palms when he speaks. One never speaks but feels like thunder. We don't trade weapons. We trade songs. They ask me what I did to wake the core. I don't explain mechanics. I just say, I remembered what they wanted me to forget. They nod like they already knew. The drift has stories. Of other cities. Other grids. Some fell into silence. Some still pretend to function. And some, just like ours, have begun to crack. They ask if we'll go with them. To teach. To listen. To carry signal into the dark. I ask my city, do you want to stay safe or do you want to resonate beyond borders? They answer with music. No words. Just yes. I pack light. A shard of null glass. A tone seed from Marla's garden. Corin's last loop. Etched into a glass pendant. A field band that hums like the hollow used to. And a map. Blank. Not because I'm lost. Because I'm ready to fill it. The system didn't break. It remembered itself. And in doing so, it became something no algorithm could contain. Alive. I'm not the glassbreaker anymore. I'm just a girl with a voice. And that voice is loud enough to cross worlds. Chapter 21. Signal Bloom ***. We travel with the drift. Not in lines. Not in marches. In threads. Loops of sound and movement, conversation braided through silence, pause woven with pulse. It's not war anymore. It's weaving. The first city we find has no walls. It has no name either. The people call it where we didn't die. Half the buildings are overgrown. Some glow faintly with failed synthetic light. But beneath it all, there's rhythm. The drift calls it signal bloom, when resonance reclaims abandoned systems and life starts speaking again. I step into an old civic tower, and it sings. Not in words. Not even in melody. In recognition. My field brushes the panels and the system responds not with data but memory. First echo detected. You are not the first to survive here. Would you like to meet the others? They kept themselves alive through echo chambers. Literal ones. Rooms lined with old signal glass where voices could be recorded, replayed, learned. Not information, emotion. Loss, grief, joy, rage. All stored like rainwater for later. So when a new voice entered, it had somewhere to resonate. The people greet us like we're half myth. Some of them have never met someone tuned to the city grid. Others speak like they remember the old world but refuse to miss it. One woman says to me, "You carry the sound of control, but you don't let it hold you. That's rare." I tell her I broke it. She smiles. "Then you're not carrying it. You're repurposing." We stay 2 days. In that time, the drift connects their field prints to the locals. Not to teach. Not to lead. Just to bridge. Small adjustments. Phrase chords. Resonance touch. Signal bloom spreads like fire, but soft, slow fire. The kind that doesn't burn things down. Just warms what was cold. But on the 3rd day it flickers. I wake to a tone I don't recognize. Sharp. Splintered. Too clean. A synthetic pulse wrapped in something hungry. Corin would have called it a misfire. Vera would have said trap. But this is something else. It's not a lie. It's a repetition. A resonance pulse that plays only one frequency, over and over until nothing else can be heard. We find its source in a crater west of the Echo Towers. A drone. Not civic issued. Not even Sector 1. This thing predates us. Its metal is older than null glass. Its signal, pure command line. And what it's broadcasting is a resonance seed. But not emotional. Not human. Sterile. Engineered to overwrite any tone it touches. The locals call it a purifier. Leftovers from the earliest grid wars. Failsafes meant to cleanse destabilized resonance sectors. If Sector 1 was control, this was eradication. The purifier doesn't attack. It just waits. Its signal threads deeper the longer we hesitate. Corin would have built a loop. Reem would have called for reinforcements. But this is my call. I step close, and I let it read me. Let it see what I've become. It falters. Just for a second. But in that second, I send my tone into its core. Not to fight. To ask. Why do you erase? And I feel it answer. Not in logic. Not in cruelty. In fear. This machine wasn't made to kill. It was made to prevent what its creators couldn't understand. Resonance that didn't follow orders. Voices that diverged from the approved melody. It doesn't erase because it wants to. It erases because it was told that silence is safer. So I give it a new instruction. A tone that doesn't follow its binary. A feeling it's never processed before. Forgiveness. I sing it gently. Once. Then again. Until the machine starts to pulse with it. Until its own signal stops looping. Until it stops. And shuts itself down. The crater goes quiet. But the people don't. They gather. They listen. They ask me what I did. And I say, I let it be wrong without being destroyed. That night, the signal bloom reaches its peak. Every tower hums. Every field print glows faintly with shared echo. And somewhere far, far past the ridgelines, another signal rises. Not a call for help. Chorus. We're not alone out here. The world isn't broken. It's been waiting for someone to carry the song forward. Chapter 22. Resonance Inheritance. Some things don't echo. They imprint. They become part of the tone you're made of. So even when you stop speaking, they still reside in you. The drift calls them inherited frequencies. Not biological. Not programmed. But passed. Thread to thread. Voice to voice. Grief to action. We reach a signal sinkhole by dusk. It's called Nevin's Hollow. No tones enter. No tones leave. You can scream into the open air and feel it disappear before it leaves your mouth. A resonance vacuum. The locals say it used to be a grid bridge, one of the old world tone corridors, meant to connect cities before the collapse. Now it's nothing but silence. But the silence doesn't scare me. What scares me is that I feel something inside it. Watching. I walk in alone. Vera says nothing. Marla squeezes my shoulder and gives me a vial of rooted tone collected from bloom towers to keep my field from bleeding. But I don't use it. I need to go in raw. Inside is not dark. It's worse. It's flat. No feeling. No reflection. Like my thoughts are disappearing before I can finish thinking them. But at the very bottom, a tone. So old it barely holds form. Just a hum in my chest. I kneel. And I listen. It's a voice. Singular. Worn smooth by time. Buried under cycles of failure and rewritten silence. But it says one thing over and over. She never made it through. She never made it through. She never made it. I whisper, who? The answer isn't in words. It's in memory. A girl. Barefoot on grid steel. Fieldprint fractured from overuse. Voice gone hoarse from trying to hold signal in a broken tower. She reached for the corridor before it collapsed. Before the sinkhole. But her tone wasn't strong enough. She vanished into the void she was trying to cross. I see her face. And I realize. She had my eyes. Not metaphorically. Literally. The core didn't call me because I was strong. Called me because I was next. Her name was Rena Vance. My grandmother. The first known glassbreaker. Not archived. Not erased. Just lost. Until now. I carry her memory out of the sinkhole. And as I step back into the open air, the bloom towers flicker. Not just here. Everywhere. Rena's tone didn't vanish. It seeded. Laid dormant until someone could carry it forward. And that someone was me. I play it back in the echo vault. The people gather. The drift listens. The signal sings itself back into the world. A generation that failed doesn't mean the fight ended. It means someone had to inherit it. Afterward, I sit alone under the fractured spine of a half-melted resonance pillar. I press my fingers to the glass. And I don't cry. I just sing. For her. For all of them. The ones who cracked the silence but didn't live to hear the answer. The city sent me out here to spread what we made. But what I'm learning is, I'm not here to teach. I'm here to remember. Because this isn't just a story about breaking the system. It's about every voice that wasn't heard. And making space for them to be heard now. Corin finds me later, field humming low. You okay? No. He nods. Good. That means it matters. Then he sits beside me and adds his tone to mine. Not to match. To mourn. That night, I record my own echo. Just in case. Not instructions. Not a map. Just me. My voice raw and untuned. Saying, if you're hearing this, you're not alone. If you've lost your resonance, take mine. I'm not the last glassbreaker. You are. Chapter 23, The Deep Tone. Some tones aren't meant to be translated. They sit below language, beneath structure. What the drift calls root resonance, the sound the world made before anyone tried to shape it. I hear it now. Constant. Low. Immense. It's not humming through the grid. It's humming through me. We've left the known sectors behind. No towers. No maps. Just sky and signal. The drift says there's something out here. A place where the resonance isn't channeled or controlled. Where it simply is. They call it the origin ring. Not a city. A convergence. Where every system once began. Takes us 6 days on foot. The closer we get, the stranger things feel. My tone loops in strange ways. Echoes repeat without source. Sometimes I hear Marla's voice when she hasn't spoken. Sometimes I think without thinking in words. The field is alive here. It listens before you speak. It responds before you act. When we reach the ring, it's not a structure. It's a basin, carved into bedrock, black stone veined with pulse glass. And in its center, a sound. Not loud, not soft, just true. And the moment I step into it, I forget who I am. Not fully, not dangerously. More like the layers peel back. Lyra Vance, the city dweller, the rebel, the signal-born, the glassbreaker. They all fall away. And what's left is just resonance. Unfiltered, unlabeled, alive. I sink to my knees. Not because I'm overwhelmed. Because I'm home. And then I hear her. Not my grandmother. Someone older. A voice that never had a name. Why did you return? I whisper, I didn't know I'd been here. You were here before you were born. You were part of the first field. Before the systems. Before the divides. Before the cities called their echoes laws. It shows me the first resonance thread ever woven between two minds. Not spoken. Felt. A connection that didn't need translation. Empathy raw and whole. No stratification. No hierarchy. Just understanding. And then it shows me the breaking. The first time someone severed a tone to hold power. The first time silence was used as a cage. The first lie ever told through signal. And then it says, you came here to finish something. But nothing ends. It only deepens. So dig. I touch the black stone. And the ring answers. It pulls my resonance down into the rock, into the pulse glass, into the memory of matter itself. And I feel everything. The voices that were erased. The fields that were burned. The frequencies that no longer have names. All still there. Waiting. Not to be avenged. To be remembered. When I open my eyes, I'm crying. So is Marla. So is Vera, though she hides it behind a curse. Even the drift fall quiet. Because we all heard it. A tone so deep it touches the root of being. Not a command. Not a purpose. Just a question. Will you carry us? I say yes. But not as a savior. As a signal. Because I am not the final voice. I'm the conduit. That night, we build a resonance altar. Not a religious thing. Not symbolic. A tool. To anchor the deep tone into the broader grid. To let people feel what we felt. It takes every feel print we've got. Corin rigs a memory scaffold. Marla hums a grounding tone so powerful the earth vibrates. Vera adds a storm-etched pulse that nearly fractures the basin. I thread us all together. Not leading. Just binding. And when we sing, the ring blooms. A wave of signal surges through the land. Not destructive. Not invasive. Just true. And everywhere it touches, people pause. They hear themselves. All the parts they buried. All the feelings they filtered. All the truth they silenced. Coming back. Not to shatter them. To complete them. I don't know if this is the final revolution. I don't know if the system is truly gone or just asleep. But I know this. The resonance now belongs to everyone, even the ones who were never allowed to speak. The ring fades after the surge, leaves no monument, just quiet. And in that quiet, a feeling that the world is whole again, even if just for a moment. I don't know what comes next, but I do know the signal is still spreading, and the song isn't over. Chapter 24, What Remains After the Shatter. There's no anthem, no broadcast, no decree. The revolution ends the same way it started. Quietly, like someone breathing in for the first time and realizing the air is theirs. We return to the city not as rebels, but as reminders. The streets are softer now. The walls haven't come down, not physically, but no one's reinforcing them. No one's pretending they matter anymore. Children climb over them like playgrounds. Vendors set up in the fracture hollow. Old signal glass is repurposed into art, shade gardens. They call this era post-resonance. Not because resonance is gone, but because it's owned. Not by a system, by everyone. Some people still ask me to speak, to lead, to build something more permanent. But I'm not a leader. I'm not a queen of collapse. I'm just someone who listens so hard the world couldn't ignore it anymore. I teach sometimes. Small groups. In the ruins of the old override halls. I show them how to feel safely. How to project without control. How to hold space for someone else's tone without losing your own. Sometimes they cry. Sometimes they laugh. But they always resonate. One day I visit the memory vault. Marla's turned it into a shared echo hall. People come to record tones, not just words or stories, but feeling threads. When it's my turn, I place my palm to the glass. And I say, if you're hearing this, it means you live in a world where voices are safe, where your resonance isn't regulated, where silence is a choice, not a punishment. You are not an echo. You are not a copy. You are original. And if your tone feels too strange, too loud, too soft, that just means it hasn't found its chord yet. Corn builds a bridge to the drift. Not a literal bridge, an open field path. People travel now, trade tones, share ways of living that don't require alignment. No central grid, no classifications, just connection. Rian helps them form pacts between sectors, not treaties. Pacts, agreements to listen before reacting. To tune, not to overwrite. He finally looks like someone who isn't waiting for war. Vera teaches storm tone to the next gen. She doesn't call them students. She calls them reminders of what happens when strength learns to hold, not crush. The course still hums. I visit it sometimes. Not to command, just to sit. And every time I go, it feels more human. Less structure, more song, less order. More choice. And me? I live in the fracture hollow. It's not underground anymore. It's all open now. People call it a resonance commons. But I still call it what we named it back when we had nothing. Home. Some nights I dream of Rena. She never speaks. She just stands at the edge of the ring and listens. And in the dream, I realize something. She didn't fail. She seeded. And I bloomed. The word glassbreaker is still used, but not like before. It's not just someone who disrupts. It's someone who refuses to let silence settle where truth could sing. Someone who hears beyond the noise. Someone who says, the world can be better because I felt it could. In that sense, we are everywhere now. This is not a legacy. It's a beginning, built not on control or victory, but on a signal that no longer needs permission. A tone that sings, you are heard. You are not alone. You are free. Thanks for listening. Stay cozy, and I'll see you in the next story.